We have the DPW sewer department, and we have the building department. Present on the dais is trustees Figueroa, D'Amico, Bucko, myself, the mayor. Mr. Murray is absent due to work. Can we stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a few announcements to make first, and we'll start the agenda. Okay, quickies. We got a couple of calls today, but I'm sure everybody knows that the election is tomorrow. The polling place is at the Knights of Columbus. That's what 5 districts, I think, are over there. And they're from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Apparently they're predicting a heavy turnout, so try not to go in the last minute because it's going to be a little crowded in there. I was told to mention that. Or asked to. Also, on Friday, November the 11th, which is this Friday coming, the village hall will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. Okay. Okay, and a little bit of an update. That's too soon. Okay, the lighting that we approved back on the 3rd, and the funds have been sent to O&R, and the lights are going to be put in shortly. I got confirmation today from Terry Johnson from O&R. That would be Arrow Point, Weathervane, and on 94 and Weathervane. Those of you who haven't seen it, I put up here just now the New York State cap tax. The part in yellow is us, that involves us. Next is, I sent a certified letter to Crystal Run Healthcare inquiring why they have not complied with the agreement of April 28, 2015 of approval from the Board of Washingtonville on the land swap that they requested. They went through the partnership of Orange County, which we agreed to, and they also agreed to donate $30,000 to the village. We had not received it. I had sent them a certified letter, and I'll be waiting for a response for that. Any certified mail that goes out has up to 15 days to either be claimed or returned. So there's not much I can do until after the 15 days are up. So what I will do is stay in contact with them by phone and see if I can get a hold of this fella. I believe his name was Douglas Staton. Okay, so hopefully I'll hear something from him. I think it's been long enough. I think the village could use the funds, so I'm pursuing. Quick question?
You said that's Crystal Run?
Crystal Run Healthcare. They came down here as a partnership back in 2014 into 2015.
Right. That was in relation to disturbance of a wetland, and they had to reconstruct it, right?
Yes, they did that. That part.
Maybe a recommendation, we reach out to the town or village of Monroe, because I know it might still be in the village, their new building.
Yes, I believe it's the one in the middle of the Monroe.
So, recommendation would be to reach out to the building department, the mayor, the trustees, whoever needs to give a final CO. Until we get our money, they would not get their final CO, which means they would be open for business. So if we missed that train,
I think we did.
water in the bridge, but that would have been the right attack, I think. If anybody got your check.
Questions? Oh, yes, I'll re-get it. Hold on a second.
You can finish your report.
I know maybe out of order, Mr. Mayor, but I was involved with that project at that time, and the $30,000, yes, we will get it, and we should get it. There's no reason why we shouldn't get it. And I think the reason for that was that we had left it into our legal department to look forward to go ahead and process the proper agreement with Orange Regional Medical Center to get that money, and for some reason that it was just a little lapsed off and all that, and we just get it in time, but should we get that money? Definitely. Are we entitled to it? 100%.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, when we did reach out to Orange Regional Medical Center, we had reached out to, I believe it was somebody in their office. I think the mayor has that information, and I think that would be great to contact them again and tell them that we definitely want the $30,000 that we have coming to us.
I did contact them by phone, made a couple of calls, they were supposed to call back, they didn't call back, so I followed up with the certified letter. Back on October, as an update, back on October 3rd, and the 18th, I believe, those are 2 meetings. Trustee Bucko inquired about asking for complete information from McCooey Hauser and Etzel, dating period from 2000 to present. Unfortunately, I wrote 2001 to present. He wanted all the information regarding anything that had to do with McCooey Hauser and Etzel and James Farr that dealt with the Village of Washingtonville. I did send them by regular mail and by certified mail, which I have the receipt from. And they did contact me, and they informed me by a Mr. Mike Lamarek that it would be approximately, for the information that we're requesting, because I put down, before you do anything, please contact me on how much it would cost. He replied that basically you're talking anywhere from $9,000 to $14,000 to get everything from emails to letters to projects to books. Quite a few things here on the list. Billing statements, blueprints of any of the projects, bid announcements for the village projects, list of any companies involved, any inspectors involved, all that related information. Now, this is what he told me over the phone. I haven't gotten it in writing, but this is what he's using as a number. Anywhere from $9,000 to $14,000. I told him I would get back to him later on to do nothing at this particular time until we talk to the trustees separately. Even though I'm announcing it now, it was publicly mentioned at the meeting.
Mr. Mayor.
Hold on, Joe, hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm
trying to say,
on that.
Yes. What it is, just so that you know, what we're doing now is that we're gonna go through everything here. To save time, we're gonna go through our agenda. If you have any comments at all, write them down. When we get to the comment section, refer to the letter, or what the letter it is. And then we will do the comment section then to save some time, because we find basically that you're doing comments during each agenda item, and then when you get to the comments, and then also we're going back and rehashing the same thing again. So we just want to have to do it once, so that saves time for everybody. Continuously right now, with the situation, we're going to continue with the voluntary water restriction for the Village of Washingtonville. We did sound out an announcement, I believe, was that Friday, Christine?
Yes.
So we're going to continue with that for a voluntary basis. South Blooming Grove is doing the same thing. I went around last night, driving around the neighborhood, and I found quite a few various lights out in the village. It's a few of them, especially on Avon Boulevard, and a couple of other ones. And I got a couple calls today for lights. So I think I'm gonna have to meet with Mr. Martino and come up with a plan on going out and checking out these lights. Unfortunately, I didn't have a flashlight with me to take the numbers down. So we need the numbers, and then we have to report it to O&R and have them come and fix or replace the lights that are there. Comments later, please. Okay. Okay, I told you about that one with street lighting. It's a duplicate. Okay. Just Bucko, that's his response. Okay. think that takes care of the mayor's announcement of what I think I covered, everything that I was going to. Now on to the agenda. Okay, hopefully it's a short agenda. Looks like a short agenda. We're gonna go start with A, the resolution to, well, actually, if you want, I'm gonna just do it this way. I'm just gonna mention the trustees' name and they can read what they wanna read on it. A, for Mr. Bucko and Mr. Vinco.
Okay, back on, it's a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Public Works. We started negotiations back on August 16th of this past year, and we met again on August 25th. It was mentioned at the August 16th meeting. Now, people who involved was myself and Trustee DeVinco. Trustee DeVinco mentioned on August 16th that he would not be present on August 25th. On August 25th, we did meet, and our attorney was present, who said, we really can't do anything because Trustee DeVinco wasn't here. I had a brief conversation with the attorney, saying we knew he wasn't going to be here, but yet you scheduled the meeting. Now, he's not here, but it's okay, he could call me tomorrow so I can refresh his memory. Mentioned to me that this is how it works. And I said, to look at me closely, that's not how it works. This meeting should have been canceled, okay, and rescheduled back on the 16th. And I said to our attorney, Howard Potter, at the time, if you think that I'm going to agree to pay you $40,000 for the DPW's raise of $15,000, that's not going to happen. We continued negotiations on the 28th. Now, both Trustee DeVinco and myself were present, and we came up with a memorandum of agreement that's fair to all workers involved. We have an hourly rate for all of the employees, 7 of them total, of $175.56 per hour. That's for the whole package. We offered, they accepted an additional, for all the employees, $8.77 per hour, bringing the totally hourly rate of $184.33 per hour. Fair, very fair. Over the course of the year, it would cost our village an additional $18,000. Okay, that's for the 6 employees that are currently in the unit of the Teamsters 445, I believe. Right, is that correct? Okay. We made some other adjustments within the contract, having to do with days off. We readjusted the calendar, actually. It used to be that they would have Lincoln's birthday off, Washington's birthday off. We combined the two to President's Day. Okay, still keeping the same amount of days that they had off per previous contract, but we did the days off. So we had a meeting last Friday. I believe it was last Friday, 2 Fridays ago. Called a special meeting, and everyone was fine. Okay. Later came that we were going to have an issue passing the resolution. Okay. I would have went with what comes out to a 51-cent an hour raise. Okay. That was presented, Dave, by you. And it came back that you would approve $1.03 an hour raise. And for the life of me, I don't know how we could look people that are working full-time, adult age, with families, and offer them a raise of 51 cents an hour. I don't understand how that could even be possible.
What percentage are we talking about?
That was a 2%, okay? I think you would get more at Woodbury Common per hour, certainly at Friendly's. And the other was $1.03 per hour. So what, the total cost is $18,000 per year for our Department of Public Works. Since taking office, we had an employee who up and left with a package, I'm guessing a $35,000 yearly salary, plus the compensation package of $15,000. So it's a total of $50,000. We finally came up with the solution to eliminate the tax assessor who would come up here from Blooming Grove, and we would pay her $1,000 per month. I wouldn't know this woman if she's sitting here, all right? And you could go down to the town and have all this taken care of. So it's a total of $62,000 in savings just from these two people. We're asking for $18,242 a year, total, for our DPW. I don't think it's unreasonable. If it was, like I said at the meeting that we had, I wouldn't have brought it up to you. Okay? And I guess it's like, okay, guys, you're doing a great job. Thank you for doing a great job. Thank you for doing a great job, but I'm not gonna give you any more money. So what would we say if they did a bad job? How much would we offer at that point? Right? But we all know that we have a good bunch of people here. All right? We've all agreed to that. We all said it. Now, to look at them to say, we're not gonna give you the raise that you want over the course of 3 years, which by the end of the 3 years, you're looking at a large coffee and 2 donuts, okay, in the compensation package. It's not costing the village a dime. Actually, we're still saving money. We're still in the savings mode. Is that black or red? Is that red? That's black. That's black. We're still in the black, okay? And if you take the 50,000 or the 62,000 divided by the 18,242, you're looking at close to 3 years, their whole contract. So at this point, you want to add anything, or are you okay?
That pretty much covers it. As Joe stated, we met last Friday to go over at our last meeting, we were trying to get together that week to review the contract. And we had the meeting the following Friday. We went through any questions, any points of interest of the contract. We touched base on some of the holidays and some of the other points that Joe mentioned. But when we left there, I think everybody was comfortable with the percentages that were presented because there was no conversation or anything about that portion of the agreement. So with that, I left there thinking that we were all in agreement at that particular point in time. So I think at this point, everything's been laid out, the information is there. We've had over 2 weeks to review this. No follow-up comments, so I think we're at the point we just need to do a resolution.
I did follow up. I sent out an email to you. I said, I think you should go back and look at it. You're doing fine as far as coming out with the numbers, but this is the number that's really thrown out there. A 5% raise for the first year, 5% raise for the second year, 5% raise for the third year. That's 15%. Okay? My argument always was, I need to be able to have numbers that the public would accept, okay? Because they're the ones that are paying, they're footing the bill. The other information that was in the contract, I went along with. I says, it seems reasonable, that was fine. It's just that the 15% is the thing that really stuck out to me, because when you look out there in the regular, ordinary world out there, most people get anywhere from 1% to 2% right now. I know for a fact that the town is only looking at giving out 1%. Also, the other thing I took into consideration are the people that are retired in this village, who are going to wind up getting a big $4 a month from our government for Social Security, for veterans benefits and whatnot. That's all they're getting. I don't know about anybody else, but you know, I have to look at it, not just a few people, or say this group in the audience here. I have to look at the entire village. And I think that 5% is a big thing to swallow. I think that sometimes even 2% is something that is hard to swallow, especially now in the time we're in. The paper I put out there in front of you basically shows that our village is scheduled for, as far as an allowance levy, tax levy growth, is only like last year, 1.0080 increase. That's all that's coming in. I've heard it time and time again from other towns and villages, you know, we're all facing the same problem. There's nobody unique here. Everybody is basically under the gun, because many people can't have the same, they can't have two things at the same time. They can't expect more and basically say, stay under the 2%. Well, it's not 2%, it's less than 2%. It's 1.00, almost the same as last year. I think it's only a real tiny fraction more they gave us this year, according to the state. And that's the state ruling on it. Now that, right now, that particular figure is, I will say preliminary, because it's not really totally finalized, but that's the way it looks right now, as far as that figure goes. Now, if you want to condemn me and say that I'm wrong in trying to look out for every single taxpayer or property owner that has to foot the bill, then so be it. Then that's your opinion, that's fine. But that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at trying to present a budget that's going to stay within the cap tax. I think that's a little bit hard to swallow. We're not quite finished even with the police department yet. We haven't signed off on that, and the reason why I did send these gentlemen a letter is that they had already signed off on the memorandum of agreement. I think what should have been done was before that was done, was have it done before the entire board. I know that we're facing, once in a while here, a board of 4. But that's the area that I was looking at. Am I saying that the workers aren't doing their job? Absolutely not. Usually when I ask them to do something, or ask them to go out of their way to do something, they do it. If I get a hold of Mr. Martino, he gets a hold of them and has it done. Usually it's something that's on a complaint from a resident, okay? I just think that when the public would find out about that, I think that's gonna be some big problem we're having, because you gotta remember something. There's gonna be other areas around here that go to look at Washington and say, you guys gave 5%. I mean, I think when we've done budgets in the past, union contracts in the past, we gave them 2%. Times were better. Nobody ever complained about that. Now, Mr. Bucko claims that he got emails from people on the outside that say that they should get this raise. At least that's the way I understood it when you stepped in my office. Now, basically, I haven't gotten an email, I haven't gotten a letter, and I haven't gotten a phone call from anybody saying, please do that. Some people do say yes. Oh, they were out here, they were doing their work, they did a good job. Okay, fine, I agree with that. I've seen it done. But we're looking at stringent areas here, and I've already mentioned it to my clerk to notify the attorney to make up an override, because I got a funny feeling when I get done doing the budget and I present it to the village clerk like I'm supposed to, after that she sends it to the trustees to modify, either accept, increase, reduce. And I got a funny feeling that it's going to go above the amount of money that I'm putting into it, or the amount of percentage that I'm putting into it. That's my job, to look out for the interest of everybody. No special interest, no nothing. Now, you may want to consider that as well, but that, the unions too, it's everything involved. We were lucky, we've been very lucky. And we've been very lucky with our vendors. There are some vendors have not raised their increase at all in over 4 years. they've given it to the same price, and you know as well as I do, what you have to do is go to Stop and Shop, and you're gonna see that those prices are not the same every year. They go up and up and up, and I understand that. Now, I'm in the same boat. I'm retired, all I'm gonna see is $4 a month. I can't do much with $4 a month. And I know that there's a lot of people out there, and I know that Trustee Figueroa has gotten from people, you know, just don't raise my taxes, I can't take the taxes anymore. And I know that Mr. Bucko had mentioned one time that people don't mind paying taxes, whether it's high or whatever, as long as they see what they're getting for their money. That may be true to a point, but you have to have the money. If you don't have the money, you can't afford it. As I mentioned before, I had lost 22 good close friends around here who just packed up and left. It says they can't stay here. They were lucky to sell their house and break even just to get out. So these are all the things, everything. Contracts, vendors, salaries, because it's not just the salary that's involved, it's MTA tax gets involved, Social Security gets involved, all that increases. It's not just the hourly wage, it's everything else that's combined with it. And the state is not helping us any by giving us, you know, a tax cap here, and then not taking care of, and not giving us any breaks on the mandatory things that have to be done. Christine, what are the mandatory ones we have to pay?
Insurance, retirement,
And they go up about what, how much percentage?
that's 8 to 10%, maybe 5%.
Is it anything higher than that?
I haven't gotten anything this year on it, so I don't know.
Okay. The other thing too is in doing the budget doesn't end until the end of February. So we're working on a budget, on the present budget right now, to try to maintain what we have. You know, at the same time, I'm already starting to work on next year's budget. A lot of that is all projection. None of us know what we're gonna make next year. We don't know what disaster we're gonna be hit with. I know that it took a long time for us to recover from Hurricane Irene. That took a lot of chunk out of our revenue, but we managed to get through it. And we're only starting now to really be, and he's right, we're in the black right now, and that's where I wanna stay. Our auditors are gonna be coming, hopefully, what, this month? Our regular auditors are coming this month, so hopefully when they go through the books, they can see that we're still doing what we have to do. We're responsible for the money, responsible to the point of making sure that we don't, hey, look, there's two different ones. There's wants and need. There's certain things we do need, and there's wants for everything else. These are all the things we have to take into consideration in that little office sometimes. And all I can say is, I did tell Christine to get in touch with the attorney, and he actually said, well, you're a little bit early on this, doing an override. I was actually gonna do the override tonight, but he says, you're way too soon for that. I believe he says, when would that be, December? The earliest would be in mid-December. But I'm trying to do the best I can with what we face, and I just think that a 5% increase, do they deserve it? Yeah, hey, if times were great, public doesn't mind, I wouldn't stop it. I just think right now, we're still in the ballpark of trying to survive, including every person who's a property owner. And that's the reason why I spoke to them, and they knew how I stood, and I know that, I think he went down for some people or whatever, and he was gonna go down, what he was gonna do, I'm not sure, but I left it in Joe's hands. And I just think that's something that I have to take into consideration. I have to stick with my principles on that. So, I don't know what else to say except for the fact that I'm just trying to look out not only for the workers, but the taxpayers as well. It's their money that's gonna go out. And I'm sure there's a few other things that wind up going into involved with that too as well. The MTA tax is based on what, Christine? It's based on how many thousands we have?
Gross salary,
For what?
gross salaries.
Gross salaries? Okay. That is something there also that I look at and say, hey, wait a minute, I gotta pay that. I can't say no. They're gonna send me a bill for that, it's gonna come. I think last year we paid about what, 10,000? 10,000 on that alone. And Mr. Buckle makes a pretty good point about, well, we saved salary on this one, we saved something on that one, but you know what? It isn't always like, oh, I saved $10 here, let's go spend it. You know as well as I do, sometimes you try to hold back a little bit of emergency somewhere along the line. And like I say, I put myself in the public's position of what they're looking at and what they have to struggle through. And that's my feeling. I know they did the best they could with what they had. They dealt with a strong union, but I don't know what else to say, except that's the way I feel. Mr. Figueroa, do you have anything?
No, I agree with this. Like I said, when Joe initially presented that 5, 5, and 5, and Joe knows from day one, I said, where did we get this 5, 5, and 5? Come on. We can't do it. Since day one, I've been telling Joe, no way. No way. And I must say it like this, no way.
Okay.
How was it
Can
gonna
I
get
have-
last year,
can
the
I have
last
another?
contract? That was
I just
something-
want to go, just go over some of the points that you made. Some of them were valid and some of them I have to think about. Let's go with $1.29 an hour. You don't think a person running a household, coming to work 40 hours a week, doing the best they can do, okay, is not worth $1.29 an hour?
Thank you.
We need to look at them and say you're not worth $1.29. All right, so we could start there. We could go back where, okay, as far as the statement I was made, okay, people do not mind paying taxes if they're getting something out of it, okay? And they don't, and I will carry that conviction. All right, people mind paying taxes when they get nothing out of it. A few years ago, when times weren't great, my taxes went up 25%. I didn't get anything out of it.
That was $9. Joe, what was it again? The increase in tax, it wasn't?
It does, it's, let's go percentage. You wanna go percentage? Let's go percentage.
But he.
Okay, because I'm glad you held up 5, 5, and 5.
Right.
And what's the other surrounding towns going to think about that? Well, shame on us. Shame on us for for me to ask the board to approve $1.29 an hour, and we're saying no. Shame on us.
Average. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Average percent is 3% though.
I'm sorry?
Average percentage, 3% increase in raises.
And you would be absolutely correct, okay, if they were being paid what the people that are getting the 1%, 2%, and 3%, I would agree with you. 5% is crazy,
Yes.
all right? But paying what our hourly rate is $1.76 an hour, okay? If you looked at their pay, how do you survive? How do you do it? I'm not looking for a turnover in employees. We can't be doing that. Now, I'm understanding what you're saying, okay? The 1%, 2%, or 3%. Where I work, I get 1%, all right? I'm not making what they're making. I'm making a little bit more. So, you know, Dave says you go to Stop and Shop, the price of milk goes up. Okay, the price of this goes up. I got it, all right? Their salary's not gonna go up. Were you going to say, let's give a 51-cent an hour raise? That's 2%. Okay? He brought up the percentages. 4% is $1.03 an hour. Think about that. It's not a lot. It's not a lot for what they're being asked to do.
I don't think the problem is the rate, I think the problem is the base from where you're starting. That's not an issue, that's where you're starting from, that's a problem. That being-
Absolutely.
All right, hold
That
on
is
a
the
second.
problem.
Hold on a second, hold on a second. We're not gonna have floor discussion until
Okay.
after the comments.
And that is the problem.
He's presenting it.
Okay, it's the base salary, okay? I don't think we need to concern ourselves with what a surrounding village is paying their employees when they have 12 of them, 15 of them. We have 8. All right? And like I said earlier, a person who is working in the main office, had a $50,000 package. Now, she's since up and left. All right? What do? Well, we go out and hire a part-timer. Well, why wasn't this woman a part-timer? All right? If we replace somebody with a part-timer, then the person who she replaced should be a part-timer. All right? So looking at the numbers, it's not costing the village anything. We're actually, it's going to take the full contract to make up the money that is in their contract. Okay? With the money that we saved, the $62,000 is going to be in their contract over the next 3 years. So it's not costing you and I, look, I don't want to pay any taxes. All right? I think everyone in this room agrees with that. But unfortunately, we do. And if you look at the tax increases that we have gotten throughout the years, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reasons are, and it doesn't matter, it's $9, it's 25%, okay? You brought up the percentages, okay? This is a home run. I want, and if you see what they have to do, or what they're required to do, you're gonna say, really? And we're arguing over $1.29 an hour? So I don't want to pay anything. I hope everyone in here understands that. Okay, but unfortunately, we do. In order to survive, these are the things that have to be done. Now, if someone's in their own business, okay, their prices go up. Right, for their services. Everything goes up. We
Mr.
mentioned that the
Butler, you
last.
increases the expenditures,
Joe,
and have to
Joe,
remember
Joe,
the revenues
Joe,
have to
Joe,
go up.
Joe,
Joe,
It's
Okay.
so wrong,
We-
it's so
Joe,
wrong.
excuse me, Joe.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait till after,
You know,
okay.
everyone at the last meeting had said cable goes up. The telephone goes up, everything goes up, okay? So we're asking, if I thought this was not a fair contract, believe me, I would not be presenting.
You know, Joe, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is that it goes up for them, but it also goes up for the other people that are living in this village.
Absolutely, I know that.
Okay? And they have to do the same, they got nowhere else to go.
I hear what
I
you're saying.
can honestly say that I feel sometimes when you presented this to me, I felt more like you were representing the union
Joe,
than representing
excuse
the
me,
town.
Joe,
the
please,
village.
Joe, can I ask you one more time?
Wait, well, I'm glad you have that confidence in me, okay? I really am, okay?
Because I know you were involved in unions before.
No, I wasn't,
You weren't.
no, So-
But this was part of the negotiation.
no. You see, so you need to find out the facts, all right?
I do know the facts, and the facts are very plain to me right now. So I think we should move on to the
We
next
could. So-
issue, what you want to do.
I'm bringing this to a motion.
Okay. Yeah, hold on.
Go ahead.
So, motion. For the contract, you want to, the village to accept the contract?
Accept the
Okay.
Except the inside.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All signed. Motion is 2-2, does not carry. Motion fails. All right, next item is Mr. DeVaco. Item B, FEMA buyout recreation area, letter. You have one?
I have the letter. We've been discussing this over several months now, but this is in regards to our properties that were bought out by FEMA along Cardinal Drive, East Main Street. And there's some programs out there that we can take advantage of from a recreational standpoint, take advantage of the movement. Plan would be to use those particular areas as takeoff and landing for canoes, kayaks, recreation, things like that. This agreement will allow us to put park benches, picnic tables, gazebo, if we chose to do something like that. Anything non-structural, we can't put a building up because everything is considered in a floodplain area. I will share, I created a presentation that I will share with the board, and I'll make maybe copies at our next meeting. But I basically just have a letter for the mayor to sign, just advising the state and FEMA that the village of Washingtonville is interested in using the FEMA buyout properties within the village for the sole purposes of recreational activities. We understand that we would be required to abide by the guidelines set forth by the state of New York, and no buildings would be constructed, erected in any portion of said properties. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. So I needed this letter for Dave to sign, so it's just one of the, part of the packages. The other things that I did, I went around to all the properties, Google Maps, printed everything out, took photos of every piece of the property, showed them exactly what we're interested in doing, described picnic tables, benches, things along those lines. We even along Cardinal Drive, we had one of the properties that was bought out before the 2011 buyout. Actually has still a pretty decent, needs some little cleaning, but it has a tennis court and it has a driveway. So from a recreational standpoint, we could possibly get that resurrected, and we could have a tennis court within the village for anyone's particular use. The other project that I was thinking about that's been brought up several times, but we never seem to maybe have the right spot for it, was Orange County created this dog play area kind of a thing where anybody can bring their dogs. They're like a dog run type of thing. It's all fenced in, has its requirements, but that could be something we could do on the Cardinal Drive property because it doesn't abut anyone's, it's not near anybody else's houses or anything else. You've got probably, gosh, close to 10 properties that are vacant, so, you know, it might be a spot to think about doing something like that because there was a lot of interest from residents over the last several years. So, in any case, that's what we're looking at doing for the recreational standpoint. I'll give this to you if you don't mind.
If you find out what you want to put there, do you have to get approval from FEMA?
We have to tell them what we're doing, and then every year they'll come back and give us a letter to basically either take pictures or they'll stop in to make sure we haven't constructed any buildings or anything else along those lines.
And you're going to come up with plans for these other areas?
Yeah, right now I'm just trying to get this off the ground to a point that if we can find some grant money for some tables and benches and things along those lines, what we would need, for example, we own the property across the street from Patricia Lane, which isn't part of the buyout, but we own those woods because we bought that, put a well on it, the well didn't work out too well. So at the end of the day, we own the property, but there's a driveway that goes back there. So if we shale it or rock it, enough parking spaces for a few cars, there's a landing right there that people could take their canoes and go out and then travel down to the center of the village, stop, get out, sit, maybe grab a bite to eat, use some of our restaurants. They could take it all the way down to Cardinal Drive. We can have another driveway down there where people could park their cars and get, you know, drop off their boats or whatever they have. And just make it really simple. But I've heard that there's a lot of interest. I haven't spoken to anybody or no one's really called me, but some people that were associated to the paper who read the article said that it sounded like a pretty neat idea. So, and then from there we can spin it, because there were ideas of maybe doing a gazebo and then doing some kind of music, you know, light stuff. So it's a possibility. It will maybe, hopefully, you know, add to our downtown. It'll be good for our local businesses, and we'll see what it takes us.
All right, so you didn't need a resolution, I just need to sign it.
Right, I just need you to sign that. I will scan it, I'll add it to my presentation,
Make sure
and I think we're good to go, and I'll give her the original, and we can move on. So thank you.
Yeah, next one is an update on regarding the war mirrors from trustee Amico.
Yeah, just some information on the, excuse me one second. Just some of the numbers. I put together the numbers from 2013, 14, and 15. I'll just read 15, and I know we kicked this around, but I think at our work session where it would be more appropriate to discuss these things, we can talk about the pilot program and see if there's any interest in still moving in that direction. But just for an example, in 2015, we produced 173 million gallons of water for the year. The average daily use is 473,000 gallons. We delivered and billed to the customers 96 million gallons. So we had unaccounted, unbilled water of 77 million gallons of water, which equates to 210, round up a little bit, 211,000 gallons a day of lost water. That's a 44% percentage of unaccounted water. So if you break it down a little bit further, your water for annual revenue loss is approximately $269,000 a year. There was a question brought up at our previous meeting about what does that do anything for sewer, and I completely kind of forgot in the midst of all these conversations when we were talking about it, but you get billed 150% of that water for your sewer bill. So at the end of the day, if you take those numbers, your sewer annual revenue losses in sewer are 404,000, rounding a little bit here, $404,000 a year in lost revenue in the sewer department. If you take water over 20 years, that's 5.3 million. In the water, or in sewer, that's 8 million. And if you take that over the life of the meters of 20 years, we're talking $13,475,000 of lost revenue that this village is letting go. So I just want to mention those numbers, and at the end of the day, I think, again, I'll put it on the agenda for a conversation on our work session and see where it takes us. But we're losing revenue that Patrick could be using. Certainly the water department could certainly be using for future projects down the road where we don't have to borrow the money. And this is where I think the short-sightedness of what you said earlier blows my brains out of my head, that why we don't take this step to look at this as other communities have done without pilot programs and recognize hundreds of thousands of dollars of instant revenue. So I think we'll bring it back to the table and see where it goes.
Bring it back.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, can we speak on this
No,
motion now,
no.
at the end?
At the end, when we finish.
Trustee DeVinco, update on the Veterans and Foreign Wars and VFW monument and street signs.
Right. We had a granite rock delivered to the VFW, what we'll call the Memorial Park, which is just for new people here. It will be the old village parking lot. So we have a new rock delivered. We need to set it, we need to raise it about 6 inches so it's level, and we get a little bit more height out of it. It's not a really big stone like some of the other ones, but we have to be careful because there's a fire hydrant nearby, and we have to respect the fire department if they needed to use it, being able to get access and make sure we don't interfere with hoses and all that good stuff. So at the end of the day, that really at this point is in place. I notified the VFW. They're going to come up with some kind of plaque orientation to match what's already there. I did an inventory of the current wars that are on the rocks currently, so we are covered with World War I, World War II, Korean, Vietnam. So I think what they're going to try to plan for is, the more current wars and conflicts that we're dealing with, and come up with a plaque or something like that to take care of that particular era. And then on the, excuse me. And then for the street signs, that's been ordered. Just waiting for those to come in. Again, they'll be brown backgrounds with white lettering with an American flag on it. Just basically in large white letters, again, Veterans Way. And it'll be at every intersection along Ahern Boulevard right out to Woodfield. And I bought 2 extras with poles that we can figure it'd be nice on the entrance and exit of the Memorial Park parking area. And then lastly, I've got a couple of inquiries out to a couple of different sign companies so that we can actually have a nice memorial sign in the front, something maybe 6 feet by 4 feet, something that'll fit appropriately on the lawn. So I'm just out talking to those companies now and trying to get a rendition and an example and some costs. More to come on that. Thank you.
Okay.
I
Oh, yes, you are. Trustee Domingo for New York Rising,
Yeah, for New York Rising, that process is still moving along. They have been doing, the engineers and consultants have been doing a lot of work on the study of the movement itself in the basin, all the way down to the Hudson. So they have come up with, I guess, enough information that they want to share it with the village. So they requested a meeting on November 18th with the village board, which is a Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Whatever, and it'll be an open meeting, so if someone wants to come in, you're welcome to do so. We'll grab whatever information we have, we can get it on our website or have it available at our next meeting, give you an update if you can't be here. It's November 18th at 4.
Friday.
It's a Friday, yeah. Yeah. Well, in the email I sent you, yeah, at the time. Yeah, Mary put it.
Okay. It's still on.
Yeah.
Photocopy lease.
Yeah, the photocopy lease was approved by our attorneys after their review. We did ask for another additional piece of documentation from Bell Conica for the upgrade and replacement of our current copier, which we're paying currently $448.46 for that on a monthly basis. And with a faster, more obviously technology-driven machine, and due to competitive pricing, we were able to obtain a monthly cost of $269 for a newer machine, faster, more functionality, etc. So overall, for an annual savings, we should be recouping in the neighborhood of $2,100 a year for that. So talking to Howard and Ben, they approved the lease, and so I'd like to make a motion to formally approve the lease. We just need a second in the motion, and we can have the attorneys get the information for you to sign, get the lease for you to sign.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Okay. Next on the agenda, a resolution, employment, part-time employee, Department of Public Works. There's no question on that. The application had DPW/sewer, which is it for, both?
Primarily sewer, but
I just want to make sure.
we do work in between.
All right. Trustee Butler.
Okay, applicant, person's name, I can,
Yeah.
Thomas Godoy. He became highly recommended by people who work both for the village as well as the town. Part-time, like you said, with both the sewer and DPW. Part-time employee hours of 19 hours per week at an hourly rate of $17 to work in conjunction with, like we found out, DPW and sewer. Like I said, he came highly recommended, came at a good time. We're in need of someone really right now then at the sewer plant. That's being held together with gum. Of course, it's been let go so long, another story, another time. So I make a resolution that we hire Thomas Godoy. Everything was finalized just last week with whatever check we had to. Background checks.
Let the police chief
Yeah, he checked.
Yes.
I'll make the second on that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0, yes.
Will you notify?
Christine, how soon do you
I'll
want to come
notify.
down?
I'll call him tomorrow.
Next, trustee DeBoto on quotes for fencing.
Okay.
as well.
Fireman's Well, located at Memorial Park. We are in need of a fence around the well housing. The DPW, I believe, has put down the I-4 macadam, so it's ready for the fence. I solicited 3 bids from local companies, one being Premier Fence Company, located here in Washingtonville, Bilkwell Fence, located in Monroe, and Fesco Fence, located also in West Nyack, but it's a Washingtonville number, I call it. Anyway, the cheapest out of the 3 for the same job was Bilkwell Fence, came in at $6,710 installed. Next was $8,680, and the last bid was $9,575.
We'll make the second.
So make a motion that Bilkwell Fence is given the contract.
Yeah.
Who made the motion?
Joe made the motion, I just made the second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0, yes.
I will contact them.
Also find out when they're gonna do that.
Yes. They have done work with the village before, so we don't need any insurance. It's an updated one?
That's built well.
Yes.
I like working with us. We have a good building inspector, that's why I like working with us.
Now. Sorry.
All right, trustee Bucko again, update on the concrete curb and sidewalks.
We're looking to get started next week, the date being a week from today, actually. The 15th, 14th? Maybe it's the 17th, 14th. Chris Martino, myself, and the contract, I think we went over that last meeting. Went around to several areas throughout the village. Right now, all the numbers that we have calculated are still falling within the leftover CHIPS money. So it's not costing the residents any money on this either. We didn't get into the budgeted amount of, I believe, $18,000 for sidewalks. So it just means that we can do more. So I will continue to walk around with Chris to get, just give you more.
What about the list that you had prior? Are these people on the list?
Yes, the one, the residents who have incident reports, it was on the list I gave you last meeting, they will be completed first.
Is there any time period for them? Like, what can they go?
I think weather's going to be the time period. So as long as it remains under freezing, we should be fine.
Are they going to do a couple of jobs at the same time, or just one at a time? What did they say? You know, like 2 at a time? So the job you got on the list? Is it just one at a time they're gonna be done?
They're gonna be working full day, so how many curves they get done.
All right, okay, you have a motion for that?
That's an update.
Oh, I'm sorry. update regarding water and sewer, wastewater treatment plant, trustee Buck.
To my knowledge, you know, Dave, you've been in more contact with George Damaris from H2M, looking for bids to go out later on this month, bid packages.
I don't have the schedule in front of me, I thought it was, this month or early December, I forget which one it was now. December might be the ones where they open the bids. But right now, I think he's on schedule.
Okay. So we're looking to award contracts sometime over the winter.
Well, he'll take care of all that, and then we'll have a bid opening day.
Okay.
Probably, I think usually it's like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever, close to.
Bids are going out towards the end of November, and they're due end of December, 30 days.
Now, in my conversation with George, they will be putting construction trailers where the millings are. Is that big pile of stuff back there? When you come in, it's all the way to the left. It's a big pile of stuff.
Right to the left, the squirrels, all the way in the back is the.
Okay. So whatever we have to do, probably early construction meeting, we'll have to find a place to move that.
How soon do you need that? How soon do you need that?
Well, if they're gonna start in April, my guess
All right.
that they would start bringing in construction trailers in February.
Well, if I can throw some dates, I've got the email here. So October 21st, we submit the responses to DEC and NYSEFC, which is the grant funding corporation. November 18th, we received the final approval from DEC and the NYSEFC. November 28th, we advertised for the bid. December 22nd is opening of the bids. I'm sorry, December 22nd is opening the bids. January 17th is the award of the bid for the GC mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. By February 28th, we need to execute the contracts for the 4 contractors. March of 17, contractors submit shop drawings to mobilize to the site. And then April 1st, April Fools, we initiate construction. Maybe we should pick the second, that could be that long. But yeah, March 2017, and we should have obviously a number of different meetings in preparation of them wheeling trailers on and making sure you've got the space to put these and how it's going to be coordinated. Patrick, have they walked you through the phases at all?
Not at that point for.
Okay, so we need to have a bunch of sit-down meetings for you to understand, right? You know, what's getting attacked first, et cetera.
We know the logistics are gonna be a nightmare no matter
Right.
what way it
So-
goes on.
And if we need to do some cleaning up of the piles of some of the debris and asphalt, we can get that stuff recycled at Minnie and Callahan to do that stuff, so whatever we gotta do. But, and hopefully we don't have to go out to rebid based upon the prices, so we'll see what happens.
All the people that bid on the contracts are allowed to be here when bids are open. It will be opened at the same time. Christine does a good job in keeping them all together. The time we open them up, she stamps them all, makes sure everything is there, go through the whole bid. I believe the H2M will be here also, right? Yes, okay.
May I also add,
He does a background check on the ones that, I believe, would be awarded the bid, make sure that everything is all on the up and up, and they're not behind on any of their bills that may create a problem, so they stay on top of it as well.
yeah, the 2 other things that we need to follow up on with George is, number 1, obtaining any grants. He had mentioned in here that we were unsuccessful to obtain funding through NYSEFC during our round 2. So that's not good news, but hopefully whatever he's doing, round 3, that we will get something. Again, depending on the bids and what they come back at, hopefully they're not too out of whack based upon what they're thinking. And one big thing that's missing from here is still for the village to hire a general project manager to oversee the construction on our behalf. So that money is not budgeted in anything that he's described at this point, so just a note.
All right, housekeeping items, Mr. Trustee Buckner.
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, at the fireman's well, we're gonna need that light, or lighting installed. So there's a light shining on the well housing at all times. I will speak with Jeffries on
Well, you've got lighting on the building.
Yeah,
that, but not above the, or maybe it's just out, above the overhead door.
I'm sure we can do it. You don't see a big deal with that.
Okay. I like to call them housekeeping, it's something I picked up while coaching. We have a situation, the last meeting, Ed, and this is directed towards you. It was mentioned that I made 3 mistakes. One of them was putting plywood over the footbridge because somebody's foot fell through it.
No, that's,
Do you know the other 2? By next meeting, please?
No, all right, flowers, you overspent. On one line item, we had to go off from another line item, we didn't check that, that was one.
Is that a mistake? Or is it, there wasn't enough in last year's budget?
You didn't check to see the line item, see how much money, you just assumed you took 700, no, sorry, yeah, 700 from one line item. You closed that line item out, then you had to borrow 500 more from another line.
That's a mistake?
Sure.
Okay. I think a mistake is doing something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But, okay, third one? You get back to me next meeting, it's next Tuesday. Okay? So, the mistake on the footbridge.
I never said it was a mistake on the footbridge.
Well, that was the first mistake.
No.
You said there were 3. First one was the bridge.
I will check into it.
Okay. All right,
That was just a statement.
there was a, what, yeah, housekeeping, or
Yeah, just a statement.
just a statement? But next week you'll get back to me.
Under new business, item number 4A is building moratorium.
Yes, I
Trustee
think,
Buckner.
yes, I think, from what I'm understanding, the town of Blooming Grove and the village of South Blooming Grove has gone into building moratorium. I believe their public meeting was already set, I don't know when. For us to keep dragging our feet on this, for whatever reason, it's beyond me, when the 2 villages around us, because we're so concerned with the other villages and towns are doing, I think we need to look into this quickly. Right? I'm understanding that you might have been in contact with our attorneys. Did they give you any feedback as to when they
Attorneys are
think?
working on the regulations for the, I believe it's solar farms.
Okay, that's
and
different.
Wind farms. That was the first thing. Second thing is the moratorium is something also he has to put together, which I actually would like the idea of maybe using the attorney that was used for South Blooming Grove and Blooming Grove, if they're reasonable, because he's already got that all prepped up. It's just a matter of turning around and changing the names from them to us. Shouldn't cost that much, so. I have got a phone call from the attorney that's involved in that. I believe it was Dennis Lynch. And I left a message for him to give me a call back to see what we can work out that way. That was, today's Monday, I think it was Thursday, Friday, Wednesday or Thursday.
All right. Have we gotten information back on the solar farm moratorium?
From Mr. Ben Kelly, that was.
Okay. When did we send that out to them?
Well,
solar power might be extinct by the time we get the letter back. They're not doing it for free, right? They're being paid. Okay? So we need to, maybe that phone call to speed that up before wind power takes effect. Okay?
I did actually, I talked to him last week, asked him to, if they could move it along a little bit quicker.
You see, but we shouldn't be calling them to say, let's move this along quicker. Okay, we gave them something to do. It should be, okay, I can have it to you within, let's say 2 weeks, but it's been about 2 months, at least.
Well, yeah, we had our own issue because we ended up wanting to do that. We were just gonna do the moratorium, and then we decided, after a meeting, not to do the moratorium, just to go and implement changes in the local law, because other municipalities are doing the same thing. So we ended up changing gears, rather than stopping, doing the moratorium and then doing the local law, we just went right into doing the local law. So we lost, in a slow change, second or third gear, we lost some time.
Once you do the local law, you send out a notice for public hearing. Once it's approved, then it goes up to the state, Secretary of State, I believe. Then they have to implement it into, incorporate it into our regular law.
So would you be?
Takes time.
When are we moving forward then with the building moratorium? You want to get a hold of
Mr.
the
Lynch?
attorneys, Mr. Lynch, was it?
Yes.
I mean, if he has the paperwork filled out, he just has to put Washingtonville in the blank.
That's what I said, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So this thing could
it's
be
already
done.
been formatted.
So by next Tuesday, we should have formatted that we could vote.
I'm not exactly sure what they have in that particular thing, or how it's detailed, what they have, so. Sure, the square mile, stuff like that.
All right, if I could just go back, and I know we're in the new business, but the housekeeping items, you mentioned that you sent a letter to McGuhauser and Etzel. I believe it was dated October 6th, it was sent out on October 10th, certified 9,000 to 14,000. How much would it be if an attorney sent out the letter to them?
Probably the letter and stamp and whatnot.
Okay, so
Send it out
let-
ourselves.
let's not do it ourselves, because that's why I'm asking for this stuff, because we did it ourselves, and no one knows where the stuff is. So, why don't we have an attorney send it out? And if it's not our attorney, maybe Mr. Lynch could add on to his billing. This is something that we need, and I'm not going to give up asking for it. Okay? And we keep dragging our feet. I brought this up 2 months ago. Still dragging our feet. And I'm starting to wonder why. Okay? So, 9,000 to 14,000 for something that belongs to us, that seems like a lot of money.
So first of
So
all.
maybe a lawyer
Hold on,
could.
first of all, you're saying
Go
it
ahead.
belongs to us. When those bills and those things were made up already, we already paid for that. We already got copies of that. Now what you're doing is doubling it up again, and getting the same information, and like I say, I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to actually put all this stuff together. It's not just a matter of a folder. It's quite a bit of information that has to be put together. And that was what was relayed to me by this guy, Mike. He says, well, we already gave you that stuff in advance when it was done, when the works were done. Now you're asking for the same information again. You're paying for the same real estate twice here. And I think what we should do here is see what we have here, which I've already started doing, looking at books, certain things that you're looking for, okay? I can't do much about the emails. But I'm looking at the books and everything. Why should I go and tell him to give me that when I already got a copy here? And it's dating back to that time. So I've been trying to look for it, and I know Christine came across a couple of them from McGuhauser and Etzel dating back into that time. There's a possibility that maybe there are some that were lost during the 2011 flood. I don't know. I can't really say for sure. Because most of that stuff that I found happened to be in the, I guess the mayor's at the time, the mayor's file cabinet, stand-up cabinet. I found a bunch in there. So I'm trying to get as much together as I possibly can. Because if you wanna go through with this, then we just say, well, eliminate this, this, and this, because we already have it, why pay for it again? You know, before you were talking about how much money you were saving on one thing, and now you're turning around and talking maybe $14,000 for stuff that we already paid for, that we already got. It's just a matter of, do we still have it, do we still physically have it, or was it destroyed and deployed? I can't say, I don't know exactly what happened. All I know is that basement over there was filled right to the top of the ceiling, and Christine could attest to that. There was papers in there, some of that stuff was floating right to the top. Exactly what happened to it after that, I don't know. Some of the stuff was brought in here, it was sent out by a company, they call it drying it out or something. And we had a whole pallet worth of stuff there trying to recoup. Okay, they weren't gonna recoup it page by page, they supposedly dry it out, but let's face it, when it goes through a flood, and now you're trying to dry it out, I think you can understand when you find two pieces of paper together, it's gonna be a mess. Okay? Some stuff had to be chucked, because it was just unretrievable. At one point, somebody was starting to shred them, in which we stopped it. We said, no, don't shred anything. Just turn around and leave it there, and let's see what we can find. And it was separated. There is some stuff upstairs. It's just a matter of finding it and getting it together. I have like 6 books inside right now for you. I gave you one somewhere.
Okay, we want,
Okay, so there's a bunch more in there that they found. So what I like to do is inventory that, so we can eliminate that from the list, if you're gonna do it, chop down the price a little bit more. As far as the paperwork, the bills, the other stuff, the emails, that's something else they would have to supply. If you're gonna improve, spending this money on it.
so when could we expect more than? Instead of drawing.
You're welcome to come and help me upstairs and look for it if you wish. I don't know. I don't have any of it home, that's for sure.
No, I didn't think you would, but,
But we can do that, and see what you got, and then just make an inventory.
maybe we have people on staff who could find time during the day to do that. Okay,
But
that's it for me.
I'll give you I think I found 4 others inside.
Please.
5 others.
Yep, thank you.
I think that takes care of the agenda part. I have public comment, and basically what it comes down to is people have got up, kind of say, now this is gonna be run extremely strict, because I know this could probably get way out of hand. Got 3 minutes. And I don't like doing it, I don't wanna do it, and I haven't done it since I've been mayor. I don't wanna use this. I think we're all adult enough to have a conversation, and that's it. People talk, one person, I don't want conversation going back to each other or something like that. Say what you want to say, and that's fine, I have no problem with that. So, you're gonna get up, state your name, and, except Haggard here. What ladies?
Ladies first.
Right. State your
Diane
name,
Mack,
please.
Captain Drive, Washingtonville. You stated at the beginning of the meeting that the street lights on Ahern, you've been looking at the street lights
Last
on
night I found
Ahern.
6 out.
From Ahern and Decker to Ahern and Washington Boulevard. Coming over here tonight, I counted 4 lights out.
I got one by Westchester also, Westchester.
Winchester, whatever,
Winchester, I'm sorry.
Washington, where the monument is, from the Ahern Park to the Memorial Park over here, there's 4 lights out. Back when you were having the movie night, when was that, August? And
Yeah.
August? Okay, I wrote an incident report on the 4 lights out. I was told that I needed the number on the pole. On those poles, there are no numbers. The same 4 lights are out.
Yeah, there's no numbers on
We gotta
it.
give it to, second.
You have to give
Of course, they're aluminum poles.
What do
They're
you,
not.
what do you do in a case like that?
I just do a brief description where the pole is, and I did send that into O&R.
Ahern,
That's the one,
Coming
you
from-
sent the incident form on,
that's
right?
right by the dog poopy thing, by Somerset. On the corner of Somerset, there's a light out. On the corner of Capitol, Carlisle, there's a light out, and on the corner of Washington Boulevard, there's a light out.
I
All
also
lights
found,
are out.
I also found one as you go down Ager and you turn on to.
But I put an incident report in back in August. So now we're into November and the same lights are still out.
How do you send them out, through fax?
It's done
Can I say
online,
something
and
to
then they
you?
send me a report saying they got
I've
the.
had this incident before, and all you have to do is call O&R and give them the location, and they do come and fix it.
Okay, well,
I found a couple last night, as I was traveling through it, I looked, and I thought I saw the light out, then I went back, the light was on. And I went down a little bit further, turned around, I come back, then the light went out again, so I think there's something with the sensor on the inside. I think that might be some problem on that too. Like I said, I didn't have a flashlight, but I tried to find the number. Some, but certainly was. Next, please. Yes, Mr. Haggerty.
Sean Hagerty for Belvoir. I'm wondering if there's any resolution on the domicile of Mr. Murray, or how often he's missed the meetings, or anything going on with that. I understand he works in Middletown, so I don't see how he can be here during the day doing anything. He's not here at night. And I understand he has a job. But a gentleman would recuse himself and let somebody else take the spot, or refuse the money. I don't know if he's receiving money or not, but he has went through this before. One other time when he was on board, he had to leave because he wasn't showing up.
It is being followed through.
All right,
It's a personnel matter that we can't.
I understand that, but it shouldn't be left go. He's constantly missing. And if he's working in Middletown, he can't be here doing the seniors during the day or whatever else he's supposed to be doing during the day. You want to save some money, do $600 a month up there.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Roger Riley, Capital Drive. This month I received my water bill, and I was terrified when I got it. Generally, I generally pay the minimum.
Yes.
When I received the bill, it was $175 more I had to pay. Now, I spoke to Mr. Barker today, and I think Chris, and they were able to shed some light on the situation as to what may have caused it. I'm not sure why that occurred, but they explained what had happened. Question, are the books audited by you have auditors who audited your books? Because if you do, this thing could not have been happening for over 10 years, and no one caught on to it.
I don't think they ordered the water.
Yeah, they
No,
don't.
no, I mean, we have auditors auditing the water budget,
Okay,
but Roger, we have a long, we can't cover it
so
tonight.
maybe they can.
We have a long,
Exactly.
we have an issue with water meters not reading properly. We have an issue with figures being sometimes improperly coded into the book. Sometimes those numbers are improperly coded into the billing system itself. The problem is, this application is not smart enough to say, if Roger's address paid a minimum for the last 5 years, and then all of a sudden he pays a $350 bill on his water, why shouldn't that warn the person who's doing the billing before we create the bill and send it out? So we have a chance to troubleshoot. The system it's not that smart, unfortunately. So we're trying to, as I mentioned before, these numbers with water, I don't know if you were here at that point, but the numbers I was reading off, the millions of gallons that we can't find, et cetera, we're trying to come up with a solution, basically to replace all the meters in the village at about $1 million. But at the end of the day, they would be recognized revenues to pay for these water meters. And from the numbers I gave, you basically could pay it off in 5 years without anything. And we've already checked with other communities that are doing it. So, not to beat a dead horse 1,000 times, because I know it's the first meeting you're hearing this, but we've talked about this at length at almost every meeting, because I think it's that important, and we're missing a huge opportunity for both revenue for the water department and revenue for the sewer department, and for the users, because at the end of the day, this application, these newer web applications, you'll have a portal that you'll go in every day if you wanted to and check what's going on with your water. And it'll get back to you that if you're on vacation and 10 gallons of water was used, then you'll get a text message saying, hey, you've got water going out of your house. But no one's home, so what's going on? Maybe you broke a pipe. But, you know, something that's more modern, more interactive, and more to things that are going on in today's world, right? You can know every time you get into the bank, you make a deposit withdrawal. Water systems are, at this point, no different. We'd save money on people. We wouldn't have people walking around touching every house. Basically, for taking our crew of 4 guys out for 2 weeks at a clip every quarter to do it. This will be done over cell towers. There'll be a device connected to your water meter. It's pinged every day. It is what it is. But for your problem, if we don't know why that happened, and you're not the first person. I've had 3 people bump into me telling me that they were paying minimums. I told them to call down, you know, log the issue, and that we would follow up. But yeah, he was paying minimum, and then he got a $350 bill.
Which is kind of interesting, because you see, you don't know what's happening, but from what I understood today, there was supposed to be a multiplier of 1,000 versus 100. How come you don't know about this stuff? And that's, you know, that's what Chris told me today. Maybe you can explain what exactly what happened, Chris.
You want to explain that, what you found?
Okay. On Mr. Riley's account, apparently he had a 100-gallon multiplier when he was supposed to have a 1,000-gallon multiplier. So he was his last bill was billed for 2,100 gallons when it should have been for 21,000 gallons. So there's our water loss right there. On that account.
But however, that's my issue. I've been living in this place for God knows how many years.
25 years, actually.
And it took you 10 years before they call them to something like this?
I'm Pamela Riley in Capitol Drive, my husband. And this happened a couple of years back, and the problem was they had to change the meters. So, I mean, it has to be looked into. Actually, there are quite a few people who had this same issue, so it's not something new.
Well, you had the old dial reader, which was the 100-gallon, the 1,000 gallons, the new updated meter. So when that was changed, you probably get accurate readings. I haven't seen any 1,000-gallon readings fail.
And this the same meter we've had for quite a few years since we changed it.
Well, it was probably put in the system wrong when it was put in, and that's why you were billed inaccurately. And I happened to catch it, and I put the right multiplier in, and the bill went out.
This is the first quarter that you're trying to change. This is the thing that I think Diane Mack mentioned, that let's try this and see how we go with this and see what we do and how we come out before we consider going into $1 million project. I think that's what you mentioned that one meeting. Is that correct, Diane? Something like that. Because he had just started doing that. I think you just did it so that these buildings could go out. And he knew that there would be people coming in saying, hey, but what is this here? Because it caught up to itself, is what it did. It's not their fault, you know, it's the fault of the system, unfortunately. And a little bit of that stuff, a little bit of knowledge, he was telling me basically it was something I found out first because I didn't know anything about water meters. And when he explained it to me, I said, I can see now what the problem was. I says, and unfortunately, now it's coming to light. Missing water stuff. It wasn't like it was leaking. So he is working on it. He is coming up with, hopefully we're going to see, I think, how many we get today? Maybe 6? Chris, how many did you get today? How much?
About 20, 25 residents.
Okay, because when I came in earlier this morning, it was like 6. Then I guess they must have been so there'll be more, you know, coming in that way. Some people came in and paid the bill, and it was okay. So it's just a matter of which ones he filters out. So he's working on that. So let's see how far we go with this now. Make some corrections on that. And I guess somewhere along the line there'll be a board decision on what to do.
Oh, by the way, thanks for your response.
Can I just add to that? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've had conversations, it's could have been with the same people, okay? But one resident had said, okay, so you found the problem 10 years after the fact, So are we as village board, going to say, and I know, and I said to Chris, it's gonna take a year to figure this stuff out. You say 2 cycles, I'm giving you a year. That even though your meter was read wrong for the past couple of years, that now you're going to pay one lump sum. Is that what we're saying as a board?
That's what's showing up right now.
That's what's showing up, but I guess what I'm asking, if someone's paying, what, $75 for the minimum, is that what it is? $76 for the minimum, and then all of a sudden they get a $500 bill. Is it their fault that the person we had employed was putting things into the wrong way, into the computer the wrong way? Or is that something that the village has to say, okay, as kids would say now, my dad, right? They still use that? So what I'm saying is, are we now asking the public, because this village employee was putting things into the computer the wrong way?
Now, if you were putting it correctly, the meter was set up incorrectly. It was reading tenths versus thousands.
Yes and no, because there were some instances where she put in the wrong number.
Okay.
They had the right
How would
multiplier.
she put the wrong number in?
One, she left off a 0 on one account I looked at today, she just didn't put it in, and had the right multiplier.
So I think the board we have to come up with a decision, because I don't think it's fair to the residents that all of a sudden, because our employee put it into the computer the wrong way, they're being asked to reach into their pocket, in this case, for another $100. You wanna talk about the residents? Okay, let's start with that one.
Next, Mr. Hughes, Terry Hughes.
Yes, thank you. Terry Hughes, 102 Capitol Drive. I keep hearing that the water meters are misreading, evidently. We just found out there's another reason why there's supposedly such a big gap. But wouldn't it be smart to get some hard data by having a forensic engineering company look at the various meters, pick out 3 or 4 that are representative, and actually test them at the standard operating pressure to see if they actually are misreading? I mean, we're going backwards from these numbers saying, oh, this is wrong, but we don't have any hard data.
All right, so you're suggesting what?
Pardon me?
You're suggesting what?
I'm suggesting you get a forensic engineering, or you probably even get a, maybe even a plumbing company. I can't remember all the various companies that do that, but they would come in and they basically go through the records, determine evidently representative water meters, take them out, put in temporary meters, and actually, test them to see, are they really misreading? And hey, if they are misreading, how much? I mean, we're talking about, millions of dollars supposedly lost in revenue, but we don't have any idea whether the meters are misreading or what. Or maybe the pipes are just leaking. We don't know.
Mr. Joe Galante?
Joe Galante, 1 Emily Acres Drive, Washingtonville, New York. I want to continue on with the water meters. I'd like to ask Mr. DeVinco. Mr. DeVinco, you gave some substantial numbers on your water meter readings. Where did you get them from?
From the monthly Department of Health reports.
The Department of Health reports? Okay, in fact, Mr. Hughes did say something that we already did do. We had 20 meters tested from different areas in part of the village, and they all came back as tested fine. There was no problem with them. So we know that the meters are probably not too much of the problem. I think the
I
problem
would
was,
disagree with that, though, Tom.
well, that's according to the testing.
For
We had
20 meters,
We
yeah.
had 20 meters tested. You could have them all tested. The only thing I think was possibly is the problem is that trustees is that, one, the homeowner is using the water, 2, has a possibly leak when it comes to that, and 3, which I think is the most probable, is the mist when it's put into the computer for payable, that like Mr. Martino said, they forgot to put a zero in that, so it's either typo, or they're using the water, or there's a water leak that they're not even aware of, that could be underground, that's been happening time and time again. As far as going down and trying to change the system, which would cost the village taxpayers $500,000 or maybe more, to just for a car to go around and press a button and get the reading means, I think is ridiculous. And it's uncalled for, because that's not really what the problem is.
It's $1 million.
Yeah.
It's $1 million. And Joe, you couldn't be more far away from the sun in that conversation than anybody. Call Goshen, I'll give you the phone numbers, give them to the mayor, call them up, and they'll tell you factual information. This isn't like stepping out onto a diving board and sawing off the back of where you're standing. God, water meter's livelihood is about 20, 25 years. We need to replace every meter in this village in order to recapture the revenues that you're losing, okay? And the data from the Department of Health shows you exactly where it's going. You're missing 77 million gallons of water. There isn't a pipe in this village that could dump 77 million gallons
I would like
a
to
year.
replace, I would like to replace, Chris,
Okay.
are we missing that kind of water?
Yes, you
I mean,
are.
we're missing
Yes,
that kind of
you
water,
are.
it's gotta go somewhere.
Yes, you
It's
are.
gotta come out
Joe.
somewhere, it's gotta go in the sewer.
Joe,
With the sewer.
Goshen was missing somewhere between 20 and 35%.
All right,
They were able to, I know you don't want,
I think
you
you answered
wanted
my
to say
question,
something,
Tom,
let me
but what
finish.
you're trying to say to me
Goshen
is,
realized
it doesn't make
after
sense.
replacing
I doubt it.
most, you doubt it, okay.
I just
Well, that's
wanted to
because
get
you
my-
got, your mind is closed to the idea that if you call Goshen, and the mayor will tell you that their revenues popped up $345,000 in a year. So if that's pie in the sky, ridiculous kind of money, and you talk about budgetary, and you talk about due diligence, and you talk about all this stuff, but when it comes down to looking at this and making a sound decision, you blow it off like it doesn't matter. Because you know what? It will affect everybody in this room and every resident within this town, village, will end up paying for it. And not only they're gonna pay for it, when it comes time to paying for the sewer, because you took the sewer revenues for capital projects and you dumped that into your regular budget, that's $225,000 that's gonna have to be found to pay for your normal operating plant operations.
In
O and
perspective to
M.
what? Because of the losing of the water that you're saying is
No.
not going through the system?
No, I'm saying because,
I don't,
all right, I'll back up. When the sewer plant was paid off in 2011, 2012, you were paying, everybody was paying a facilities charge. That was in the neighborhood, I'll say $200,000. Once that plant was paid off, that $200,000 should have been put into the same capital account that money was going for the 4 quarters in order to
who was the
pay.
mayor then?
You,
I was the mayor?
maybe,
I
you were on the board.
I was the mayor?
You were on the
No,
board.
who was the mayor at that time you're talking?
Kevin. You want to tell you, trying to get me to say it's me? I left in 2010. It wasn't me, Joe.
So you're
I
talking
tried.
when you're talking
Next
this-
step, you had Kevin and then you were on the board. All I'm saying to you is, show me where the money is, okay? Because you're gonna have to raise sewer rates to cover that $200,000 that you took from capital and you put into operating. And you're gonna have the same problem if you don't address this between your sewer and your water. Your revenues could be there. You're choosing not, at this point, you're choosing to ignore them. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
With your explanation, I understand where you're going and where you're coming from, but the point that I was trying to make out is that there's no need at this time to even consider putting the taxpayers at cost of maybe $1 million to upgrade something that you feel that may do us
It's
a lot
revenue,
of savings
Sal.
where.
It's revenue. You had
where
no
it's
problem, I'm gonna say the same thing I
You're
said.
gonna let me finish, or you're gonna,
You
where
say.
I feel that the problem is not what you're saying it is about changing the whole system to go around with a car and clip. I think the problem is, like I said before, A, they're using the water, B, they got water leaks, and C, there's type of problems
Typographical all over
in
the
the
place.
way it's being processed into the system. And it's
Absolutely.
very simple,
Yep.
because if you look at this simple, if you eliminate a zero or add a zero, you're talking thousands of gallons of water.
Joe.
And that could be the problem.
Thank
It
you.
is.
That's
It is.
enough stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the problem. Absolutely.
All right. Wait a minute. Yes, Mr. Lang.
I'll just make a statement, and, or two statements actually, and then you can answer my questions, maybe three. On A, the approval of the Department of Public Works Memorandum of Understanding. On October 18th, we started playing Where in the World is Tom Murray? And here we are on November 7th, we don't know, and it's unfortunate, it's really sad that, you know, that resolution failed on a 2-2 vote when there should be 5 people sitting up there. That's number one, right? And, you know, maybe it would have been a different ending. I don't know. The second is, how is that this, on letter G, I mean, when you talk about salaries and stuff, the employment of a part-time employee, that guy could do better as a school bus driver. So we're not talking about a lot of money, $17 an hour for part-time work.
Goes back to what
School
Mr.
bus
Riley
drivers
was
are
saying.
making better money.
It's the same thing, you're right, all based upon the base salary, but the base salary was low.
Yeah.
So if you're looking, 2% is 51 cents, 4%
Well, we said,
is $1.20.
we said
I mean,
25%
at
was
the end of the day.
$9, so
Right.
what's 15% gonna be? I don't know. And the other thing is, how are we making out, Chris? Have you made it any headway at all to determine if there is a substantial amount of water that's been lost through billing?
Oh, I know there's been lost through billing. It's pretty clear in my eyes. What the total is, I don't know where it's at. It's only been.
But it's looking like it's going that way.
Yes,
It's moving
The
back
first
towards
floor.
zero. Moving back towards zero.
yes. I'm seeing where the loss is and I'm recapturing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you gave them that position and that job, you know, because I think it's gonna come out.
We will get everything taken care of.
Yeah,
We just need everybody to be patient. You know, going back to what Mr. Riley had mentioned, your water bill has gone up.
I paid $175 more than, but I understand now that you know.
Well, your taxes just went up $175,
Okay, yeah.
okay? It's the same pocket. So we have to make a decision as a board as to at what point do we say, this is where we're starting. Chris has found a lot of problems so far. I'm sure he's gonna continue to find the problems, and I think we know where the problems were. It's not reading the meter, okay? It's entering the information, okay? So hopefully that's taken care of, but we won't know that for, like I said before, a year. So we have to make a decision as a board as to when do we say, you're not paying the $175 more, okay? But from here on in, we're starting at zero, okay? If not, your taxes just went up $175.
And now I have to go revise my budget.
There you go. You know, so it goes on and on and on. You know, Tom, you wanna invest $100 million, I can't get $1.29 an hour.
I can't wait to come to the $10
You know,
million sewer
so,
plant,
and I
that'll be
know,
all
and
right.
I know that you're in favor of what we said before,
Yeah.
but what I say once before, when all the streets are paved, the curbs are replaced, the grass is at the same height, $129 an hour is passed, then we could
And we can look at that.
look at that. But you also did say to make a motion that we'll never talk about this again.
Yeah, but I can.
I'm willing to.
No, I'm not doing that, we're gonna talk about it for a minute.
Because I'm willing to make that motion.
Denied. Withdrawn.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead. Jeff.
East 149 East Main Street. What are you guys gonna do with this DPW contract? we just gonna sit here and argue about this money, that money? Everybody knows, and I'm the past superintendent, my guys weren't getting paid enough back then. All right? I don't wanna see my taxes go up, but if my taxes have to go up, so I have quality people working here, okay? That's what it takes, that's what it's gonna have to take. You can't keep going behind the back doors and saying, oh, we only can go 2%. Listen, people, I was arguing when I was in charge that we had to go for 5%. And you wouldn't be in the position we're in right now. And if you continue this way, you're not gonna have a village.
Right.
Bottom line, I'm sorry, but, you know, you're not gonna have a village.
Don't you think that's the
And you're gonna
plan?
have to, I'm sorry, Tom,
That's the
but
plan.
all you guys have gotta step up to the plate and think about what's going on here.
Well, here we have, I
We
laid
are.
out where it wouldn't cost the village residents anything. So if taxes were to go up, it has nothing to do with the DPW. We laid it out. It's
You really gotta
2.5
look at
years
it.
before
I
we
mean-
equal the money that has been paid out, okay? And just so be it to a person that now we're trying to fix water problems.
Right, but then you're talking about creating more parks, more places that has to be maintained. The only people that are gonna maintain it is your DPW. So how are you gonna do that? Or, you know, there's different stuff in this village that has to be fixed, but how are you gonna do it if you're not gonna pay your people?
Well,
You got talented
good way to
people
pay
there.
for it would be putting in the meters so you have the revenue to pay for
But
it.
Tom, I have a little bit of
Just had to throw that in.
information about the meters.
Just had to throw that
I'm
in.
not here to talk about the meters,
Just had to throw that in there.
okay? I'm not here to talk about the meters.
I'm with you 100%.
But you can forget it.
I just have a comment. But I thought all the money from the water meters could only stay in the water system.
Correct.
So it's not gonna help the DPW.
Yeah, it does, because part of their salary is paid out of a third of each fund. So perhaps that could be adjusted, that we would need to check with the accountant, the accounting people. So if you're making 60, or, so you got 20, 20, and 20. And we can take more money out of water because we have the revenues to do so, because they do water, they do sewer, and they do normal DPW jobs. So they get funded out of all three funds. That's why we'd be able to do it.
But you still got to split it up between the.
That's the way it is now.
Yes.
Frank Frasca, Puritan Lane.
I'm sorry, say your name again?
Frank Frasca, Puritan Lane. As far as the DPW raises and 5% across the 3 years, as someone who was laid off twice last year and had to take a $20,000 pay cut, 5%, I agree with the mayor, is just a little pill to swallow for people that aren't getting those raises. And I understand you guys do a good job. 2 to 3% is industry standard. 5% is a lot to swallow. That's all.
Nothing else, I make a motion.
Any other
No, wait, we got-
question over there?
I'm Ray Sinisha, business agent for Teamsters Local 445, along with some of the members of DPW and members of the board. We negotiated this contract. And as everyone knows, and I would just like to remind the nature of the work that these guys do, I know it is nice to be appreciated. As the mayor said, he knows they have good guys and they're hardworking. You know, pats on the back, don't pay their bills and put food on the table. And when we're talking $1 and change now, what are you actually walking away with? Like you said, a cup of coffee and some donuts. When it's the middle of the night in an emergency, these are the guys getting called out. When it's a snowstorm and everybody's home in bed safe, these are the guys out dealing with it. They could be making money, a lot more money in other places. They choose to stay in the village because they care about the village. This is where they are, this is where they want to be. And I think it's small compensation for the work that they do and the service that they've given and the amount of time of their life that they've given. We got employees that have been working here for over 20 years. And they like to see the village grow. They'd like to stay here and continue to work here. Thank you.
Nothing else, I make a motion we adjourn. Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
Good night.
Sorry.
You're the camera.